Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weekend Rental, episode 128. We are your gaming and geek culture podcast. As always, my name is Ryan, and I'm joined by Andy.
Hey.
And Biff.
What's going on, guys?
Okay, if you enjoy our podcast, head on over to geekade.com where you're going to find podcasts on video games, music, movies, and so much more. Geekade.com, what's your geek? And in case you weren't aware, support for Weekend Rental Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer just for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code RENTAL at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, it's about 8 million balls. Is the math correct?
I would say so.
Yeah.
It's pretty accurate.
I can say that the ball deodorizer has become like a daily routine for me. You guys?
100%.
Yep.
Jump out of the shower. Yeah, that's the first thing. And let's face it, these last few days that we've had, 106 degrees. This stuff has been amazing. I'm not sweating through my khakis. Phenomenal.
I just want to dip my whole ball into a pool of it.
I know.
Yes.
But it is a quality product.
Yeah.
Mean. The ball deodorizer, good smell machine, right?
You know, we
Swamp
didn't talk
balls,
about
no
this
thing.
last time, but the nose trimmer.
Yes,
yeah,
that's
it's great.
awesome.
Yeah. So our package came with a nose trimmer.
Yeah.
I didn't think I actually needed one. I was like,
Oh,
you
you
know,
do.
I'm blonde. No big deal. That thing was like, just like a chainsaw. Just,
Yeah.
I had so much going on in there. And then afterwards, you're like, oh, I can breathe extremely well. It's
We're hitting an
amazing.
age where like nose hairs and like ear hairs are like a real problem. We don't realize it. We don't want to admit it, but it's a thing.
It's
And
a thing.
yeah, it's a great device.
It is. I love it.
So, I mean, to our audience, we endorse it. We've all had these products. If you want to help support us, help support Manscaped, you can go and get 20% off and free shipping with the rental or with the code rental at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code rental. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
Go
Good
get it.
stuff. It's good stuff. So, with that out of the way, let's talk about the more awkward conversation in the room. Mini consoles. How did we get here? What's the gaming landscape coming to? And is there a future in this hellhole that is known as mini?
Man, you really just threw it like hellhole mini, and I'm like, oh, they're wonderful, they're awesome. So I'm excited to hear your opinion and how different it is from mine.
It's been a while since we've had a topical podcast where we dove into like something like this, but let's set it up. Sort of. Nintendo was struggling between console generations. The Wii U was dead. The Switch was not feasible. They put out the NES Mini, not because they loved us, not because it was a need that had to be filled, but because they wanted to remind you why you were a slave to Nintendo. And they had nothing to offer you in the meantime, but at every Walgreens in America for the 3 years prior to this, At Games had been offering a Genesis 4, which was the weird puck-shaped, like kind of taco-shaped Genesis console that came prepackaged with 80-ish ROMs and also play Genesis cartridges, which nobody asked for, nobody talked about, nobody cared about. But Sega, I'm going to argue, let's kick this thing off right. Sega kicked off the mini market. Am I wrong?
Are the Atari flashbacks?
No, fuck that.
They're not minis?
Nah, they're just garbage.
Yeah.
Those can you really call something, yes, there's things with ROMs on it, but can you consider something that you actually put a cartridge in a mini? Yeah. That's where I struggle.
If the profile of the cartridge is the same size as the console, yes. I will say yes.
But to me, that's a completely different market. I think it kind of sits by itself. I have a hard time putting it in with the minis because the minis, I guess, in today's world now have really been defined as these tiny machines that have 30 games and that's it. Nothing more.
But when you look at what Sega did later on in this conversation, is it different? It's worse. If
they
kind of
went backwards.
Yeah. It's
true.
Worse.
True.
The emulation's probably better on the actual mini, but
yeah. And Andy's point is fair. Atari was the first there. They did the flashback. They did the 5200 flashback, but from the point of the Jaguar on, nobody cared, right? Like Atari was a bastard child, and those flashbacks were. I mean, so you have a point. There was that. Then there was the Intellivision Flashback, sold exclusively through Sam's Club, or one of the premier ones.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
Then there was the ColecoVision Flashback, sold premium package through Sam's Club. So maybe you're right. Maybe Sega wasn't first to the punch, right? I own both of those. They're exactly worth the $20 on clearance I paid for them.
Oh yeah.
And that's about it.
Are they still in the box?
They're still in the box, yes, but I've played them. They're still in the original box.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, the mini game has been really interesting. Just when they first came out, whether you are on like Team Sega or the Ataris or whatever, it's such an interesting concept to see like where it started and where it's going. And it really is just 100% nostalgia driven where, it was this thing like, hey, you remember that NES? And it was geared towards the people that were not us. We're the collectors that have it all. We're going to buy it just to put it on our shelves. But yeah, to have it like publicly out, where that dad is walking by and it's like, oh, I totally want to play Mario. That's what I want to play.
What dad was walking by for those early ones though? Like,
oh no,
that's like your great granddad. Oh, I remember the Intellivision. I remember the Coleco. I had an Atari. You know what I mean? It was just like nobody was asking, right?
Right.
And they didn't age well. They didn't age well. So even those dads were like, oh, that sucked so bad. That was
right.
2 paddles and that's it. I just, the market to that just blows me away that they would even try to pull at those nostalgia strings. Like that would be awesome. I'm getting one.
And you're never getting like all of them with that. You're not getting the Pac-Man. You're not getting the Donkey Kong on those early consoles. You're getting the first party Atari stuff, which some of that's good. But I mean, that NES Mini, you looked at that and it's like, that's the whole thing. Like that's, you got the whole collection pretty much,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good point. And even the At Games Genesis stuff was like this weird, like YouTube retro gaming, like rabbit hole where people are like, it's the Genesis 4, and it is the Genesis 4, right? And it's actually better than the fucking Genesis Mini, which we'll get to. But let's progress to, I think we decided it was 2015, right? It was the NES Mini comes out. The Wii U is basically dead. The Switch is nowhere to be found. And Nintendo finds itself in this position where, like, they know they have the shit. The 3DS is, like, kind of dying off. And they're like, hey, you love us. Let's prove it. Here's a Nintendo Mini. It's small. We're going to sell it in limited quantities. It's got a okay-ish list of games. How high are you going to jump? We all jumped a mile high to get this thing, right?
It was crazy. I forgot, like, when we were kind of just preparing to talk about this, I forgot how difficult they were to find and how limited they actually were. Like the first run, I was like, oh, you know, you look at the Ataris or whatever, and you just assume that, oh, they'll just be on any shelf in Target. And people were going stupid for these things. And I found mine in Detroit Lakes, just happened to like drive by a Walmart. And I was like, yeah, I'll pop in there real quick. That's where I picked up mine. But I had no idea why or even how this thing was going to be a hot commodity. And it was scalpers going crazy, Craigslist. I mean, it was so bizarre. Like they were treating this like it was the Nintendo Switch on release day, or, you know, where it's just good luck getting one of these things. It to me was so bizarre for something that was geared towards the casual gamer.
Yeah. I mean, this was at the height of amiibo collecting as well. So I feel like every week there was a number of people out there just trained to go.
Was intrinsic, right?
Right. I feel like Nintendo, like maybe that wouldn't have happened the way it did if they didn't see how all the amiibo shit was going.
Yeah, it was like the height of Nintendo's bullshit. They're like, well, we can put whatever the fuck we want out. Everyone's going to buy it, and there's not going to be enough of it, but we'll still profit. Hee hee hee. And it's just, I don't know, man. It left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. You know what I mean? And so let's flash forward another year. The Super Nintendo Classic comes out. They assure everyone there's going to be more stock. There was.
Longer cables, you know, the usual.
Right. Was it easier to get? Marginally, yes. Alongside of it, we got the Mega Drive or Sega Genesis Mini around the same time. Both of them at about an $80 price point. The Super Nintendo one did well, right? Like everyone wanted what was in there. There was the Star Fox 2 unlockable.
Breath of Fire 2, I think, was on there.
But did it offer $80 worth of content? No.
Well, if you're talking the cartridge price, it was probably 1,000 worth of cartridges, but yeah.
Sure, but I don't know.
I think with all of those, it was a steep price, you know, for yes. But again, we're looking at it through the collector eyes where we have a lot of those games. So it's just really hard to look at it through just a normal consumer lens. You and I were looking at it as, wow, that box is pretty sweet. I love how detailed it was. And it actually looks like, you know, the actual Super Nintendo box, which is so stupid for us to spend $80 on something like that. But for $80 is steep for something like that, especially when traditionally those items were $30 to $50, somewhere around there typically. And so for something to be like, you're going to get 2 controllers and longer cables, some quality games. Let's see how high you'll jump for it. And then again, classic Nintendo calls it.
Well, and the big thing was, like, at this point, Hack G had been readily available. The NES Classic was easily hackable. the Super Nintendo, based on the same iterative platform, was instantly hackable. And then along came the Genesis or Mega Drive Mini. Again, super hackable. That one was $80. I don't feel like anybody really bought it, but that one was open almost immediately to not only Genesis and Mega Drive ROMs, but Game Boy Advance, all sorts of stuff that ran really good on that hardware. And it's weird because like public perception, that thing did worse, right? But like in the emulator world, the Genesis one almost has the best like core performance as far as like multi systems it can handle, the things you can load into it. And it came with, I think it came with 2 controllers right out of the gate, right?
Yep.
So it's almost a better buy, but nobody bought it. And it's weird.
I'm the second guy and I didn't buy one. So yeah.
Yeah.
I did open it up to use the controllers on my PC. So I didn't plug in the system and just was like, oh, I can use these controllers to play some retro games or whatever on my PC because of the USB end and not the weird Nintendo ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like at that point, like it ushered in like everybody's in the party, right? Like TurboGrafx is coming with a mini, $100 mini. Neo Geo was doing a mini. It's like a mini arcade, but it's not, and all this stuff. Which, spoiler here, I ordered the 2 controllers for mine eventually. Like I just ordered them last week, so it's like I can play it, hook it up to a TV, D-pads. I'm an idiot. It was $80. I don't know why. But
I think we forgot the reprint or re-release of the NES Mini when they're like, more's coming.
Yeah.
It took the Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo had to come out. The Super Nintendo Mini came out, and then they released more NES units.
That's when I got mine.
It's like they released the more NES because remember that this is the pivotal point in the Mini Wars was like, oh, everybody's like 100% sure sucking the N64 dick that N64 Mini's coming out because we had the NES, we had the Super NES, it's the 64 Mini, but it didn't happen because even Nintendo realizes the 64 is a hunk of shit. You can't replicate that. You can't replicate the emulation.
Oh my gosh.
But what happened was Sony was like, we did that. We crushed Nintendo. So let's PlayStation Mini. $100. Terrible emulation. 20 shit games.
The European ROMs.
Nobody wanted it. You could
Awful
lit the thing on
controllers.
fire. Yeah, it was like in Best Buys. Stacks up the wazoo. $100, $75, $50, $20. Okay, I'll take 2. You know what I mean? And I love my PlayStation Classic. You know why? Because it runs RetroArch. And I can load ROMs on it. I can play my Genesis games. I can play my Super Nintendo games. I can play my Game Gear games. I can play my Nintendo NES games. I can play my Game Boy games. It's not good shit otherwise.
I remember, when the minis were coming out, we were talking on the podcast. I remember specifically how much we were talking about the PlayStation and what's that going to be like? What's that looking like?
What it should have been like. Should have been like.
And then every episode you could hear us like, oh, we saw one for $70. And then the next episode you hear like, I saw it for 50. And it just this natural progression down to like 1999. Oh my gosh. I still laugh at like where that's at now, where we're seeing how cheap we could actually get them.
I think every gamer could have they could have aggregated like every gamer, like median gamers' response to like what are the 20 quintessential PlayStation games, to that, even if you cut off like the back half of the experience, and everyone would have been like fairly okay with that. And Sony was like, no, No, fuck you, you're wrong. And also, here's the European versions that run at like the wrong frame rate and the wrong hertz. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, it was very low effort on their end.
Yeah.
They were just trying to jump into the game as fast as they could.
Mm-hmm.
As wrong as they could.
Yeah. And they were just piled up so much. Like you walk, and that was so bizarre where NES Mini not readily available, Super Nintendo not readily available. And so you just you weren't seeing those things, and PlayStation just stacked up like, I don't really care to have this. Why? I still don't have one, but it's, that
was that the one where like back in the day, it was like Band Hero. You would see that on the shelf for like 12 months straight.
Dude, Best Buy had like 2 shelves, like full shelves of Band Hero.
Right. And nobody bought that shit. And I think that was the one where the retailers are like, okay, we need to stop buying this shit. Was the PS1 Classic? Is that the one where the retailers are like, maybe we're not going to.
I think that was the commercial, like, we're done. Wave the white flag. Because, we still have stuff like the C64 Mini, the Sinclair Mini, the Amstrad. Like, there was other stuff, right? But, like, commercially, that.
Super obscure. Like, that was extremely obscure stuff, though. Like, everything that you just listed. I just would love to sit in a Walmart and watch one guy like, heck yeah, they have a ZX or, something like.
But then for every one of those, but then for every like one of those I make fun of, because we entered a pandemic and because people got checks and because there was stimulus money, we have arcade one-ups to varying degrees. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like. It's crazy. Like it did bleed over into that territory. You know what I mean? Like it bled over into full cabs. It bled over into all of that. And like, it's weird. It's weird. Like the landscape that evolved from the mini console, because we all laughed, right? We all laughed at the arcade one-up, the model. And none of us, for the most part, minus my first purchase, bought them at full price, but we all own a couple of them because they became dirt cheap.
Yeah. And you have a garage full of them.
I do, because they're dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And here's my biggest like takeaway with like these mini consoles, these arcades, I don't know. It's as kids, we had hardware. It was limited. We had limited income. Our parents had limited income. And you got a game or two a year and you figured it out, right? Like you beat it. So when you put this in front of even us, but more so our children, and they've got a limited choice, what are they going to do? They're going to spend 5 seconds with each game. And they're going to move on, and they're not going to play or understand any of it, right?
Yeah, that's exactly how it goes, for sure.
It's disappointing.
So we just pick one shitty game and say, here you go.
Lover for eternity, yes.
Yep. This is the shitty game I had. You got to beat it, too.
Yep.
So out of all of these minis, or let's stick with kind of the main bunch. We'll throw the PlayStation in there for just humor, but PlayStation, Super Nintendo, NES, Genesis, heck, we'll just throw the TurboGrafx in there just for good conversation. With those 5 mini systems, which one do you feel has the best representation of the brand?
TurboGrafx. It's the best form factor. It's the console that deserves it. You know, it's there to remind people of a console they didn't get to experience. It provides a solid list of games that they didn't get to experience. It's the whole archival remembering of a 16-bit console that nobody got their hands on. It should exist to fill a need. The other ones, you can go in there for like $50 and like make it happen. You know what I mean?
The TurboGrafx one is kind of like a perfect storm because there wasn't a lot of third-party stuff that they had to get, you know?
Yeah.
So they, and, you know, a large percentage of it is the best things on there, whereas Super Nintendo did a really good job even with third-party stuff, but there's no way that you could be like getting every classic on there, you know?
Yeah, I would say that I spend my TurboGrafx Mini, I play that the most out of all of them. Because it still is obscure to me. It still is like, man, it's so new. It's so, you know, I haven't experienced those games. And they play so well on the TurboGrafx. Like the colors were just so different and the sound was good. And, yeah, just so like a fresh experience for me. And so I still, out of all the minis, that's the one that is plugged in the most and is playing just because, yeah, it's a lot of fun and a really good library of games for sure. So did Sega do it better than Nintendo?
No.
Well, Sega's not done.
You don't think so?
They have a new one coming out.
Yeah,
the Sega Genesis, the Model 2 or something like that.
Yes.
And,
Model 2 Mini?
Yeah, I believe so.
It plays the CD games. You didn't hear about this?
No.
Yeah, it's what spurred the whole conversation.
Yeah, well, I missed that then.
I don't know if they've announced it's coming over here, but I would imagine it would.
It will, yeah. Europe and Japan it's announced, but
okay.
Yeah, it's going to have built-in CD games like Sonic CD and all that stuff.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
How did I miss this?
That could be the last hurrah.
Yeah.
I mean, Nintendo's over there just doing random Game & Watches now, so.
I mean, that new Sonic game is definitely going to take over the world, though. Yeah, that's going to be great.
Oh, yeah. That looks amazing. Just
3D Sonic, open world,
running around in a Unity bot.
The Sonic team. If I know anything about the Sonic team, they understand 3D space and navigation. So I'm very confident this is gonna be real good. Not a train wreck. There will be almost no bestiality. I'm fairly sure, right? All bestiality? Okay, yeah. The silence indicates all bestiality.
I mean, I think it's implied most of the time in those games.
Okay, all right. You're okay. A lot of animal on humans stuff.
Yep.
It's going to be good.
I'll try it.
I'll play it too. Sadly, I'll play it.
I don't think it could be the worst. It can't possibly be the worst anymore.
No. You know what's the best? Game Pass. You know why? That awful Pac-Man collection, which is just a dumpster fire, but it offers Pac-Man Battle Royale, which is the greatest game ever. Am I right, folks?
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, so I am tagging. Let's set the let's set the stage, because I think the podcast family wants to know. I'm on vacation, family vacation. So let's recap this thing, right? I live in North Dakota, unexpected heat wave, 100+ degrees. They projected like 108 on Sunday, 104 on Monday. So
with like 60-mile-an-hour wind.
Right. So my thought is like, I live essentially on a pancake, which is like a griddle, full of concrete. It's nature's griddle. So I'm like, the heat's going to come.
Oh my gosh.
It's basically going to fry my family and everyone to oblivion. I'm like, fuck that. Let's go to Minnesota where they have water and trees. Cause that's what Minnesota does. They 10,000 lakes, right? Look it up. So we go there, we leave on vacation. I leave Saturday. I'm like, fuck town, fuck North Dakota. I'm going to die here. I'm going to shrivel up to like a 10th of my body weight. Anyway, we leave. So Monday comes around. It's still super hot, even in the North Woods of Minnesota. We go get breakfast with my mom. I take my mom to breakfast because I'm a good son. You know, I'm not that bad. I tell her she's a whore. I'm
wait,
like,
this was on Father's Day?
No. This was on Juneteenth, right?
Oh, okay.
I was like, you dirty whore. I'm taking you to breakfast. And that's not what happened. Anyway,
oh my gosh.
My family's with me. I love my mom. I didn't tell her she's a whore. Anyway, we leave from breakfast. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning. A deer, just like an asshole deer, like 10 in the morning is like, fuck you. I'm jumping in front of your car. And I slam on the brakes. I do the whole swerve thing. I love tap the deer, right? Like I hit the deer in the ass. He kind of kicks his ass out. He runs off just fine. Like less than 10 miles an hour, I hit this deer. I'm like, holy shit. I've never hit a deer in my life. I hit this deer. The deer is fine. My car is fine. No marks, anything. So that's a great start to the day, right? So we leave. We head back to Fargo. Midday. It's still hot. We get back to Fargo. My kids got a birthday party to go to at this arcade, Kingpins, which... so we drop my son off, and then the rest of my family, we go eat at a Chinese restaurant, right? Well, a storm front moves through, and we're sitting there in this Chinese restaurant watching a funnel cloud. No joke, I shit you not, a actual funnel cloud form over Moorhead, Minnesota. And like,
really?
it's about to connect, and then it dissipates. But at the same time, this Ford F-150 pickup truck in the parking lot, like its ass end is shaking like it's a fucking Lego toy. Like I've never seen anything like it. Like, and my wife and I, we talked about it afterwards, but at the time we were being calm because my daughter's there. We're both like, yeah, we both thought we were going to die, sadly, on a quote vacation in a shitty Chinese restaurant in the middle of Moorhead.
Oh my gosh.
Like, this is not how I want to go, people. This is not how I want to go. So this happens. Then the sky opens up, inches of rain fall. So we finish eating, again, calm for the sake of my daughter. And I'm like, there is zero chance that we get home and we still have power because I live in an old part of town. Electricity is still above ground, not buried. So we get home like 6:30 p.m. on this 100 fucking degree day. And yeah, no power. So we didn't have power. I'll flash forward. We didn't have power till about 10 p.m., around 11 p.m. that night. That's not the problem. We go pick my son up from his birthday party at this arcade. They had a great time. No idea the storm went through. Great for him.
Nobody was intimidating them at Kingpins.
Yeah. Biff wasn't there intimidating them. So we get home. We pull in the driveway. It's about, I don't know, like 8 o'clock at night, 8 p.m. at night. We still don't have power. And I cough pulling in my driveway. Explosively shit my pants. Not like this isn't cute. This isn't like it was an accident. Like I had no premonition. Explosively shit my pants.
Oh man.
So I go in the dark with no power, take a shower, wash myself off. So greatest first day vacation ever. Hit a deer, no power and AC, shit my pants. And you know what, folks? I'm going to be completely honest. It was better than the best day of work. It was still vacation, y'all. It was pretty good. So
I have so many thoughts to add to this. And the big thing is when you crap your pants.
Yeah.
When you crap your pants, no air conditioning. Like it's just stewing in your house.
100%.
Oh my gosh. That sounds...
the shorts I was wearing and the underwear ended up in a Target bag that I threw away immediately.
Oh man. Just, flat air whatsoever. Yep. That's so crazy. I'm surprised that, so if there was a funnel count, cloud because I live in the same city as you do.
Yeah, it was super scary, dude.
There were zero
Super
sirens.
Scary. I know, that's what we said. We're like, well, there'd be sirens, right? Like, oh no, like that motherfucker almost touched down on top of roofs, and nobody fucking threw a siren up. Like, it scared the shit out of me.
I feel like they should be watching that a lot closer, right?
I understand. I agree.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Nope, it was terrifying. And I text my boss because he lived in that area. I'm like, hey, I'm at this restaurant. There's a funnel cloud over your house, dude. He's like, yeah, we're out in the backyard watching it. I'm like, okay, all right. That's a choice.
We'll be there soon when it picks up the restaurant, brings it over to your house.
Yeah. It was definitely like, God, it was one of those moments where like you have a kid there, so you're like playing it cool. My wife's like, that's spinning, right? I'm like, yeah, it's probably might be a funnel cloud. I don't know. It's like, go get some ice cream. There's ice cream over there. It's a Chinese buffet. All you can eat soft serve. Like, if we're gonna go out, let's go. But yeah, I think Fargo Moorhead was within milliseconds of imminent disaster. Like, we got lucky the way it played out, it did, but it was bad.
That's crazy. I had no idea, and I'm just chilling in my house watching Big Bang Theory, and
don't watch that. That's terrible. That's terrible.
Maybe it was coming for you if you were spending your time doing that.
But to continue on my vacation story, we've recouped. We went to the Chihinkapa Zoo, which, for anyone who lives in like the Fargo area, understands that our zoo is basically like a cow, a camel, and like a wet wall.
All by the interstate.
It's so sad. So we drove 40 minutes south to a town that has like nothing going for it. No one who cares about it. And has the greatest zoo. So we saw rhinos, snow leopards, cheetahs, fucking tigers, albino tiger, alligators, kangaroos, all that shit. So we did that today. Got home, and the end of the story is Pac-Man Battle Royale on Game Pass occupied about 5 hours of our evening. Like, we just continue to play that. Like, it is the greatest co-op game. Like, you don't need anything but a thumbstick, right? And a lot of trash talking, and what a great game. Like, really good for a family or anybody, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that game, but the timing always seems like you always shrink at the, like, right when you catch up to somebody.
Yeah.
And you just barely miss them. Like, I don't know how they do that, if it's variable timing, but it just seems like it's always like that. But yeah, we've been playing that quite a bit too. The rest of those games in there are kind of weird because it's like half the stuff you want to play, you have to like unlock of some sort. And most of the games up front are just kind of like the crappy ones that you don't want to play.
See, I haven't even jumped into... So I know you guys are big fans of that Pac-Man. And I am conditioned to see a cover of like all these Pac-Mans and just ignore it and move on. Because it reminds me to bring it back to the minis of the like Atari flashback stuff or whatever, that you're like, oh, it's just a combination of a whole bunch of Pac-Mans. It can't be that good. So now that you mention it's in there, I'm actually going to download it and enjoy it. I just, again, it's that compilation thing that you're just like, yeah, I'm good. This is like the Data East combination where they're the same games every time. And
Battle
how many
Royale
times can we
like,
release it?
Battle Royale is basically like the reason to buy this, right? And there's 256, which is good too, but like Battle Royale this is the first time.
Championship edition's pretty fun for a while too.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's Pac-Man, just
right.
They don't have verses on there, do they?
Battle Royale is versus.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know that's what it was called. Okay.
Yeah. It's the reason to buy it.
Interesting.
Plus, it has all the other weird offshoot stuff, too. It's not just Maze Pac-Man stuff, too.
Right. Most of it's trash, though.
Yeah. Like, a lot of those must be mobile games or something. It's weird.
Just shit games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So while you were chilling on vacation, pooping your pants and having a great time,
super chill,
hitting deer, I sent you that tweet. I was like, man, I hope your family's good, but I hope you killed that deer because I want a jerk.
Love tapped him.
Yeah. So I don't let my daughter listen to the podcast often. Actually,
shouldn't
never. She never request it. My wife was listening to our Manscaped plug, and she was like, I just want to hear, what you guys are talking about, which made it a little uncomfortable. But we jumped right into the Stranger Things season and that whole conversation on the last podcast. And my daughter heard that you let your kids watch Stranger Things. And so now she's like, hey, Ryan's kids can do it.
Open it up, Biff. Open it up.
Why can't I? And so I had that moment of, fine, go ahead. Okay. Watch season 1. Episode 1 will freak you out so much. You'll be out so fast. And she's like, okay, sounds good. Sits down. Like some of the creepy things happened, and she chuckles, and she's like,
"Look at you, she's the sick bastard who thought season 4 was like, what, gore? I don't know. It's fine." Yes.
And then I was like, "That doesn't scare you?" And she's like, "No, like it doesn't." I was like, "You are my child, and we're both very sick people in this world." And so, from when the podcast came out, we let her watch it. She's completed everything, all the seasons.
Nice.
Wow.
That's
and I'm
off.
Like, all you do is just sit and watch this TV.
That's awesome.
And so she's like, well, I got nothing else going on. It's a billion degrees outside. So thank you, Ryan, for influencing my family to just make decisions.
If you think about it, like you retroactively look at like the Goonies and what that showed, how terrifying that was to us. And I don't know.
Never thought the Goonies was terrifying.
But in today's world, I mean, it was one of the reasons why we have a PG-13 rating, right?
I guess, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so hats off. She's all in Stranger Things. Grandma bought her a Stranger Things sweatshirt. She has the hat that you got me for Christmas, the Stranger Things baseball cap. Nice. She's wearing that. She's all in. We go to a private school. She knows that she can't wear that stuff, so she's wearing it now. And it's like, I'm wearing this all the time.
Awesome.
We watched the first Rush Hour the other night with the kids because I'm like, oh, that's a normal action movie, whatever.
Who's the guy in that?
No one understands the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that Chris Rock or no? Who's
no?
Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan.
Okay, yeah.
But like, I forgot that pretty much anything Chris Tucker says is basically a swear word in that entire movie. So it was like constantly reminding my kids, don't say that. You can't say that. That's another one you can't say. There's a couple of them there that like you are legally probably not allowed to say that anymore. So it's that was an experience, but I was trying to show them like who Jackie Chan was and like how cool doing your own stunts are and everything, but I still don't think they quite understand. Like, I mean, they're so used to watching like
movies, yeah.
I mean, they're so used to watching like Marvel movies that's just all green screen shit. So it's like this seems tamer.
Did you get some outtakes? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he literally rips his arm off. Look at, he's bleeding and he's sewing it back up and he's going to go do it again.
Yeah, those movies before those movies where he's like, I'm going to run off and like jump into these strings of lights and like I'm going to hang on to them while I slide down, not die.
Yeah, basically
that's
electrocuting
good.
himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what to this point now, you look at like why do you even need a stunt double where you're all roped up, everything is green screen. Yeah, now it is this complete culture shift of back then some guy had to jump off that building. Like exactly. He had to like face death for your entertainment.
Well, now it's just like he chose we'll fix it in post. Was the best part, right?
Right, yeah.
It was admirable.
It just sucks now that because it doesn't quite look as impressive as a guy on a green screen who does it, because that looks more impressive, even though it's not real,
Right.
What's real life anymore? I don't know.
Yeah, those are good movies, though. Shanghai Noon.
Yep.
I've never seen them. Is Robin Williams in them?
He might have been in like a boogie board in one of them. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I wonder if Jackie Chan still does shit.
He's probably about dead, right?
I'm sure. He's had that spine fused up. He's in a wheelchair somewhere.
So, speaking of Jackie Chan, then Kung Fu, like, the whole Turtles game came out. Did anybody in this podcast actually play it?
I did.
Did you?
Yes. That's a good game.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't know, like, how they definitely paid attention to the original series, of course, because there is so much of that original cartoon in there. And it plays really well.
Nice.
Yep. My kids are obsessed with it. Yep. And there's like, a lot of different levels. You got the skateboarding levels and stuff like that too. So it really is a love letter to all those beat 'em ups.
And it's got up to 6-player co-op, right?
Yeah, which is crazy.
It's nuts.
We were going to try to attempt to do 5, but I couldn't quite get one controller working. So
who are the other 2 turtles? 6-player.
Casey Jones and
it's,
April O'Neil.
April and
Splinter, right?
Yeah, Splinter too. I don't know. Casey Jones must be like an unlockable or something.
Yeah, he's unlockable.
Okay. That makes sense.
So yeah, they actually have 7 then. That's crazy.
Because if it was like, no, everyone's Raphael. It's like, where am I? Who am I? As soon as you start doubling up in those games, you're watching somebody else for the longest time.
Yeah. Yep. Well, here's my challenge to this podcast is like next Tuesday, we won't record, but let's all have the game downloaded on Game Pass by then. And let's jump in 9:00, same time. Let's start playing through the campaign, right?
Yeah.
We can bring some other extra people in too, like Lucas and Luke and all those guys. But
yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Have you guys been watching Neeb's Gaming after I sent you that initial link to their playthrough of Generation Zero?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, is it so good?
How's it going for them?
Oh God, it's so okay. So the game has not fundamentally changed. Like all their pain points are the pain points we had. But the editing is so good. So the editor basically shoots it like it's an episode of Stranger Things, right? Like he's got the intro montage, like 80s theme, like everyone's like breakdancing and stuff. And all the shit still breaks, like horribly breaks for those guys. Like they'll be riding on bikes and like flying like 20 feet in the air for no reason. And so after, I don't know, like 6 or 7 episodes in, they're still at the point where like, remember that bridge where like you guys were like, I don't know where you are. What are you doing? And I was like on that bridge taking down that guy by myself. That's where we were
beating the game.
Yes. Well, but it's like midway.
There's a little bit
like,
before that, yeah.
Right. And they're like, I have no. So it's this like beautiful thing of like watching these people play this game, but like knowing that they cut out 99.9% of like the monotonous looting bullshit. But when you when you take that out and you frame it and you show just the gunplay, yeah, it's this great, super engaging game. But and the brokenness is still there, so it's super funny. But that this is not the game, right? Like this is not what the experience is. So I don't know. I'm enjoying watching it, but also knowing that you cut out the worst bullshit, right?
Yeah. Not shuffling around with landmines and air tanks and all that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious that you brought that up, because I was going to make a point. I didn't want to talk so much about Generation Zero tonight because we've beaten that thing to death.
Well, I didn't beat it. You guys beat it.
I beat it so good that I deleted it from Xbox Game Pass.
I did beat it so good that I deleted it from Xbox Game Pass.
Oh man. So I got this guy that I know. He was looking for game recommendations. Yeah. He's like, I just don't like the stuff that my kid plays. I kind of like stealth type games, sniping games. And I just got out of Generation Zero, and I have no idea why he said it, but I was like, yeah, well, check out this game. Maybe that's something you would like. And I should stop recommending this game, but I do like it. I don't know what's going on. But he started playing it, and he goes, I think there's something wrong with this game. I'm stuck in all these places, and it's glitching out all the time. I'm like, no, that's the game. That's part of the game. And then there was a part where he got stuck. And he sent me a message. He's like, what do I do? I don't know what to do. I said, put a gas tank underneath you, pull the trigger, and that will get you out of that corner. And so he's like, so I just blow myself up. I'm like, yep, that's how you continue. And so that game has all of the things to be a good game. It's so broken though, and so weird that that type of the way they portray the game, the way I don't know, just everything about it says it's a good game until you start playing it. And then you're like, oh, this is not what the trailer is, or this is not what you're watching on Neves Gaming or any of that stuff. It is
a game that is too ambitious for the small team who is making it. It could have either been this high level crafting survival game, or it could have been this super intricate narrative experience, and they didn't thread the needle correctly. You know what I mean? But I agree with you. I can't not recommend it. You should definitely do that. And your whole point was in Neeb's episode 2 or 3, both of them got caught in a tent. We can't get out. What are we gonna do? It's I get an idea. So he throws a propane bottle behind him, blows them both out of the fucking tent. And that's the solution, which is sad and laughable, but I don't know. That game deserves a good 40 to 35 hours from players. After that, you can walk away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Play half that game. You've seen it. But,
I would like to see another studio, a little larger developer say, let's give this thing some love.
Yeah.
Let's do this right. Let's fix this stuff. Let's make this a game. And it would be an incredible game in my mind.
Or Titanfall to it, keep the same team, narrow the scope, but give me the single player focus narrative. And I honestly feel that group could do that. Based on what we've seen, you know what I mean?
Very impressive.
I didn't hate any of my time with it. It just grew long in the tooth. Actually, I hated the last 30 minutes where I didn't get the end game and everyone else did.
Oh, I clearly remember you're like, what are you guys doing? We're like, we're watching the credits. We were like, in the same game.
In your party, motherfuckers.
How is it? Yeah. In the code itself, how is that even possible that other people can be in the credits and
one in the game? Thought, oh, I'd love for that development team to reach out to us and be like, oh yeah, we'll fix that. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, that would be awesome. I'm sure it's not designed to do that though, where like,
no,
2 people are here, 2 people are there, just conquering the map as fast as we can.
And it kind of pissed me off because that means we clearly we missed a whole zone of the game, right? And we're still able to complete it. Like that shouldn't have been possible.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, I think the worst part about that is the scale is just bigger. They just, the bunkers, instead of being more intricate or more interesting, they just made them bigger.
Yeah.
There's more rooms in there. And, it just it gets too monotonous at that point.
Yeah. And they never like in that game figured out the balancing. Like, let's say we were a well-oiled 4-person machine, which we were at some points. You were still never able to tip the scales, right? Like you could plan, you could put stuff out, but you're still fucked.
You never feel powerful.
Right.
Yeah,
I think you were always in a losing proposition.
I think it was because they would, they're basically multiplying the health bars by 4 times. And then usually you're only having at most 3 people shooting at them,
right.
So it makes it even harder than if it was single player at that point.
Beautiful world, beautiful lore. I love the time I spent with it. I will never touch it again. But
I was just going to say, let's bring it back.
Gen Zero is a must recommend. I got to say, PC or Game Pass, probably Game Pass. Grab a few friends, go do it.
Yeah, we had a good time doing it. Like we had a good time playing that game, and just
and a lot of frustration,
but a lot of laughter. Like there was some times that I haven't heard you guys laugh the way that you did, of just like, what the heck is going on? And, even just how inconsistent the game is, where you get to that point where there's a whole bunch of dead bodies and this giant flame shooting up from the ground. And you're like, oh, we're going to get into it. And you show up and there's nothing there. So you've been prepping and preparing just to go up to this hill. Nothing happens.
Yeah, the best episode, like from the Neebs gaming coverage, was like the last one, where it was that point where I fought. So it's funny because like we had a 4-person squad. I fought that mech and defeated it on my own on that dead end bridge. But one of them in the Neebs gaming camp saw the guys, right? So it's 3 people all standing on a bridge. Nothing's happening. One of them's in a firefight. So they're like all watching him. He's like positioning around, shooting these mechs, shooting these dogs. Like, yeah, we don't see what you're seeing. Like, where are you shooting at? And it's just like shooting a dead space. He's like, and the whole caption was like, we broke the game. You know what I mean?
But we experienced that so many times. Like, what are you doing? I'm in it. Someone's shooting at me. Like, you're just running around in circles.
It's the perfect summary of Gen Zero. And yet you can't hate it because like you had a good time, right?
When we plugged in that many hours, you can't hate it. You're just like, we got to go around the corner. Maybe it's going to get better. Maybe it's going to get better. It doesn't get better, but it was a good experience.
That team could have benefited from like reducing their vision by 40%, but it was still a good game.
Yeah. I wonder if we'll ever see them try to develop or expand that in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Now it's the time to do it. Get them all, like all these Stranger Things people are excited about that stuff. Go for it.
Speaking of that, did you guys see like the cast of Slipknot is for some reason in Smite?
The entire one? The entire cast?
Yeah, you can like buy the whole cast of Slipknot, which I guess costs like $80.
Wow.
In a free-to-play game that came out like 10 years ago.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Smite? You didn't play it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. It's like...
I don't think I never played it either. Is it like
really?
League of Legends?
You didn't play Smite? Oh, Smite was good back in the day. It's kind of like a point and capture, like... not capture the flag, but, you know... Control point, sort of Dota thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know people still played it, but Slipknot now is in it. So that's the thing.
Well, that's the perfect band to get if you're going to sell skins too, right?
Yeah. I mean, sure.
Some terrifying ones.
Yeah. Do you get the music then too?
I'd hope so, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, when Fortnite's doing like everything, Star Wars and who knows what else, you kind of have to go along with that and get what you can get, right?
Seems desperate though.
I've dropped off of the Fortnite train so hard.
What?
Yeah, so hard. I have not touched it. Haven't touched the new battle pass. Nothing.
Wow, I just played my first few games 2 weeks ago, last week.
Oh, now you guys are into it, huh?
Yeah.
When I'm out of
Not
it,
me.
you're into it.
Not me.
How many games do you play against bots? Because I feel like the first 5 games that it was all wins. So it's like, this can't be right.
I got a Corey Taylor moment.
Sorry, kids are saying goodnight, and they feel like they gotta kick me every time I'm doing this. Like podcasts are like, good night, good night, good night. I'm like, I get it. I'm waving at you. Good night. Shh. So there. Now the podcast knows my secret. Yeah, I don't know what the algorithm is or whatever. It makes you feel really good though, right? You're like, man,
yeah, right away. You're just like, wow, I'm good at this.
Crushing this. And then it's about when you hit like level 10 or 12 that they get fewer and fewer, but you're still getting like 1 or 2. You're like, okay, yeah, I'm still really good. And then 20, they have you like in your mind, you're set that level 20, I'm crushing it. And they're like, now let's open the doors and let's bend you over here, and you're not going to have a good time. You won't see a win now for the rest of the season. That's how it goes. I don't know how often that is, but I mean, you can get close. I mean, my son, he's always dropping, top 10. Often, typically, third place, fourth place.
Sure.
But he's also way better than I am. I'll never tell him that, but yeah. And he looks over like, Dad, you remember the days that I used to be good? And I'm like, man, you were always, I was always terrible. You were just getting to know the game, and now you're very solid.
So let me share a story about that. Like, we were out of town, obviously, heat wave I described. So my nephew, before things went free to play, I let him use my account to play like Modern Warfare and Warzone on his Xbox.
Oh yeah.
Which he's been doing, and I watched him play when we were there, and I was like, how the fuck did I ever play Call of Duty games? I'm watching him like Twitch move, and like he's coming up like third and second place. I can't deal with it. Like, it's so fast, right? And I'm like, no. He's like, hey, you want to watch TV? I'm like, no, you keep going. Like, this is good. And I'm impressed by it. So we're sitting around today, just after everything's done, and I look at my phone. It's like, hey, PayPal notification. You spent $10.74 at Modern Warfare. like 1,100 points. I'm like, no, I didn't. Microsoft receipt. You spent 1,100 points. No, I didn't. Get another one. Same thing. I get 2 of them, basically the same. So I text my mom. I'm like, hey, he plays with my account. Did he by chance buy this stuff? And then she's like, oh yeah, he says he clicked on the button, but he didn't know it'd go to you. I'm like, well, that's a problem. So I go into my account and I'm like, I delete. It was PayPal. I didn't even, I don't know what happened. I don't remember linking PayPal to my Microsoft account, right? So I deleted whatever. And she's like, well, can you get a refund? I'm like, no, because it's a legit purchase. I'm like, but hopefully if he knows that him clicking this button is like going to cost me money, he won't do it, right? So yeah, I'm out $24 on Modern Warfare, Warframe, whatever the fuck that thing is called. So great stuff.
Lucky you, and you don't even get to use it.
No, good stuff.
Well, I mean, you got the entertainment of watching him play.
Yeah, so. Yeah, he's pretty good. I'll give him that.
So essentially, it was like a tip, like a Twitch tip of some sort.
Right.
So
it's true. I can justify it. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, he's balling, and you're just a viewer.
I'm the perverted sugar daddy, trying to get at his goods.
My gosh.
So we've still been on Dragon Ball here and there.
Oh,
getting through that. And then we noticed that Dragon Ball Fighters, the fighting game, is on Game Pass. So we download that just for fun. And yeah, my 4-year-old, he's got quite a combo that he can beat everybody in the family. I don't know how he's doing it. I'm watching his buttons. I'm trying to figure out how he's doing it.
Does he just creepily laugh at you? Like, ha, 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 ha. And you're like,
yeah.
No, show me. And he's like, I'm just doing this. I'm just doing this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like those Marvel games. So it's just like you press any buttons and you have a pretty good chance of winning if you spam enough buttons. But still, he's consistently winning against everybody in the family. So I don't know how he's doing it, but good for him.
I like how we never contributed to like actual skills. It's always like, oh yeah, they're spamming buttons. I think Ryan, you do that with your son too. You're like, I don't know how he's doing this, and they just, they might just be stinking good.
I punch him in the head. He still does it. I don't know. It's weird. Don't call.
You're saying he's like a savant, and I need to get him like into fighting game tournaments
probably
or something like that.
Evo tournament right away.
Yeah.
Start signing them up.
That's a college savings fund right there.
Yep. His one combo, if it doesn't work, it's going to be a problem.
It's amazing.
Yep. It all has to happen at some point, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's early, but is it a podcast?
It might be a podcast.
I mean, I hate to go out on like Andy's kids are the greatest because like my kids are not going to feel as good. But
well, should we talk about my kids more? Just how awesome they are?
You've already touched on it. My kids are pretty awesome too. Just to even it out.
Hashtag Father's Day. Late Father's Day gift is we just sit and brag about our kids.
Let's talk on it. Father's Day. What did everybody get? Respect.
The flu.
Nothing.
I got the flu. So I was hunched over the toilet calling for dinosaurs.
Oh.
That's what I was. And then the kids bought me this giant cookie that said it had a taco on it, and it said talk about a cool dad or something like that.
That's bad enough to be good.
And I didn't even get to eat it. They enjoyed it while I was puking my brains out.
Oh.
Andy?
I got a camping chair that we attempted to put outside, and then we put the canopy up for some shade.
Yeah.
Well, it was 100 degrees and windy, so the canopy just blew away. And kind of broke the thing on it, so we had to put that away. And then we tried to sit outside for about 5 minutes, and then that was the end of that. So
classic Father's Day.
So I got this Drecker Brewing hat that I specifically pointed out like 2 weeks prior to Father's Day that I liked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Strategically?
Yeah, my family spent a $20 bill on me.
And I think out of all of us, you got the actual gift.
So, the thing is like, I like this hat. It's nice, but it's like this weird seam, like a train conductor's hat. If I didn't have a beard, this wouldn't be an acceptable hat. I like it. So
how does the beard make it an acceptable hat? Or
it's a little bit like, douchey, like a little bit,
oh my
yuppie.
gosh.
It's a little
I love
bit
that.
like yuppie B2E hat, but like I have a beard, it works. And I have this like weird, like taste in like clothes that I shouldn't wear at almost 40. So, which that'll be a fun episode we get to have pretty soon. Like a gamer turns 40. So that'll be an episode, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Not until December, though.
Yeah. Take us out, Biff.
Oh, I'd love to do that. Hey, thank you guys so much for listening to the show. We appreciate you. All the dads out there, happy late Father's Day. Yes. Make sure you're following us on all of our social media, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all of that kind of stuff. We really appreciate it. And you can find all things Weekend Rental at weekendpodcast.com. Make sure you check us out on Manscaped as well. Use the code rental. Helps us out a ton. We appreciate you guys.
Free shipping internationally.
And as always, friends, be kind. Rewind. I got a mini council.
At least we didn't go the micro console. Well, I guess Nintendo did, but